Hey guys, I'm back again. I've just finished reviewing the new formations and Decurion style formations in the new Angels of Death book. And now I'm back with part 2, looking at the psychic powers. We've got 4 new psychic tables to go through, and I think me and Sam have had enough caffeine between us that we can stay up and do these.
Yeah, just about. It's getting late.
Until Andy kicks us out of here.
I say it's getting late, it's probably getting early now.
Yeah. Is that the sun?
Not quite.
Okay, but anyway, we've got 4 new disciplines, and after a little bit of debate, it has revealed that they can, according to the card set, be used by any Space Marine chapter. So not just the ones in Codex Space Marines, but your Grey Knights, your Space Wolves, your Blood Angels, your Dark Angels. So,
in the psychic card box, you know when the first psychic cards came out for 7th Ed, they gave a small card there with lists of all the factions and what psychic powers they could use, with a tick and a cross, whether they could use it or not. They've got that for all the Space Marine factions in that, just for the Space Marine factions, of what lists can be used and what that. So all the Space Marine factions, your Space Wolves, your Blood Angels, your Dark Angels, and your generic Space Marines can use all of these lists.
now, we've got 4 new ones here, and the first one is the generic Librarius discipline. So this is pretty generic sort of stuff that, you know, could represent a number of different librarians. So your Primaris, which is always the most important power, is the Emperor's Wrath, and it's a straight up Witchfire, range 18, strength 5, AP 3, assault 1 blast.
It's Warp Blast.
Yeah, we've apparently stolen that from the Tyranids.
Yeah. Slightly less range, but it's the same stat line. But it's Warp Charge 1. It's Warp Charge 2 in the Tyranid book.
Aww.
Screw you, GW.
I'm sorry, Tyranids, but you know, Tyranids don't have the oomph that they need. But no, this is a useful enough Primaris, evidently aimed at killing Marines, but I wouldn't take it over Psychic Shriek.
Yeah, no, neither would I. It's alright.
Veil of Time. So this is Warp Charge 2, and it's a blessing that targets the Psyker. While the power is in effect, the Psyker and his unit can reroll all failed saving throws.
Sick.
So
That on Terminators.
yeah, stick that on your Terminators. Yeah, I'll have that. Especially Thunderhammer Storm Shield. But
Oh, Terminators can be used again.
if you can roll this power, if you can guarantee rolling a 1, which to be fair we
If you
usually
take the Librarius Conclave and you've got all level 2s,
yeah.
you're like almost guaranteed to roll it.
And then Fury of the Ancients. So this is an old power, but it's had a bit of a revamp.
So Warp Charge 1 Beam,
Yep, I like
20
beams.
inch range, Strength 6, AP 4, Assault 1 Pinning. Meh.
Bit meh. Kind of useful. It's a reasonable ranged attack. 20 inches isn't bad.
It's not going to do much, to be honest, is it?
Strength 6, AP 4. Not amazing, no. Really, you need AP 3 or a much bigger area of effect. But pinning could be useful against certain opponents. Not the greatest. Psychic Fortress. So this is just a Warp Charge 1, nice and easy to get off. It's a blessing on the Psyker again. While the power's in effect, all friendly units within 12 inches of the Psyker have Fearless, Adamantium Will. Yeah, Fearless and Adamantium Will. Fearless isn't great for Marines.
I guess it's useful if you're like running against a high psychic army like Grey Knights or Demons.
Yeah, the Adamantium is useful.
And then mix of Psychic Hood.
And in addition, while the power is in effect, all friendly units within 12 inches of the Psyker have a 4+ invuln against Witchfires. That's only against Witchfires. So again, if you're
4+
running...
invuln against Psychic Shriek.
is useful, but you know, it's only really great if you're running against mass Psykers.
Yeah.
So situational. Might of Heroes, nice and simple. Warp Charge 1, Blessing adds 2 to his strength, toughness, initiative, and attack.
That's mental. That's
That's
like
pretty good.
a weak version of Iron Arm and Warp Speed mixed together.
And you take that perhaps on the Iron Hands guy with the Psychic Thunderhammer. So he's suddenly... Well, I suppose it's only really the attack bonus, and all the attack and toughness that are relevant at that point, because your strength's going to be maxed out anyway, and your initiative is irrelevant with the Thunderhammer, but that could be cool. Certainly makes the Librarian actually able to hold his own in combat. But again, you need to have the right weapon on him to do that.
It's not a bad spell.
Not bad.
I quite like it.
Psychic Scourge for Warp Charge 1. It's a malediction that targets an enemy Psyker, so already we're seeing this is situational. The Psyker manifests this power, roll 2 dice and add their mastery level. Oh, the Psyker manifesting this power rolls 2 dice and adds their mastery level to the highest result. The other Psyker rolls a single dice and adds their mastery level. So it's basically a roll off, but you get to roll 2 dice and pick the highest, and you both add your mastery. If the enemy rolls higher, no effect, so there's at least no risk with it. If the score's a draw or your result is higher, the enemy Psyker suffers a wound with no saves of any kind allowed, and while the power's in effect, only successfully manifests warp charge points on a roll of 6. Finally, if your result is at least 3 points higher than the enemy Psyker, they also lose a randomly chosen psychic power.
So you psychically disable your opponent.
That's pretty cool, actually, but it is very situational.
How long does that last for?
Just a round.
Just a round. So yeah, you can psychically disable your opponent. And Null Zone.
Null Zone. So this is another old school one they've resurrected from the 3rd Ed Codex, 5th Ed Codex.
So Warp Charge 2.
You've got a malediction that targets an enemy unit within 24. While this power's in effect, all models in the target unit suffer -2 penalty to their invuln, and this is cumulative with other modifiers, but can't make it worse than 6+.
How? 24 inch range, -2 to invuln. That's good if you're running Dark Angels, you've got your Black Knights with the Plasma Talons, and you're going to take out Centurions, and they've got forewarning up or something like that.
Yeah,
you just go, well, -2 to that, and now you're not safe.
A lot of these powers do feel a bit situational, though. I mean, invuns are kind of common enough that that's a thing. I tell you what does have a really annoying invuln is the Storm Surge, is it? Storm Surge has a 4+ invuln. And you could nerf that down, which would make it much easier prey for your las cannons and your melter guns. So that's kind of cool, and you see a lot of them. And Imperial Knight has an invuln. And that
nerfs your Imperial Knights.
Okay, so that's pretty good for a 6 power. But I'd say of these, Emperor's Wrath, okay,
it's really good.
Okay, it's good. Emperor's Wrath's good.
Strength 5 AP3 Blast template.
Veil of Time is great. I like that, especially in this codex.
Yeah.
You know, if it was in the Orcs or the Tyranids, be like, reroll a 6-up t-shirt, whatever. Reroll my Terminator armor. Now that's another matter entirely.
Even rerolling your power armor.
Fury of the Ancients, it's okay. Psychic Fortress, situational. Might of Heroes.
I really like that.
Yeah, that could be
even
cool.
With your Force Sword, which is AP3, that's pretty brutal. This is only Librarian Strength 6, with what? +2
to
Psychic.
Strength, Toughness, Initiative, and Attack.
So Librarian is then attacking at Strength 6, he's Toughness 6, he's Initiative 7, with 4 attacks, 5 attacks if he's got a pistol, which he should have.
Yeah. So that's decent enough.
Yeah, he's a beast then. Gets that.
Psychic Scourge
Could be funny.
Could be very fun, but again, does your opponent play Psychers? It really is meta dependent.
I say I've got Blazing Runes on my Khorne Demon King Demon Prince. I haven't ever used them.
I'm just thinking back to the last tournament. 6 games. I think I faced Psychers twice. Grey Knights and Eldar.
Yeah.
Oh no, there was a Psyker in the Mechanicum list, but that was not great.
Right, so next one is Technomancy.
Yeah, so Librarius Discipline, it's alright. There's certainly reasons you could use it.
I wouldn't take it over telepathy.
No, I probably wouldn't take it over telepathy, and that's the thing, you've got to ask, is it better than telepathy? Is it better than making your Land Raider invisible?
I guess there's ways to count. I mean, you'd have, if you're taking a Librarius Conclave, you might have one Librarian run on it to, like, if you can get Psychic Scourge, you can...
Veil of Time.
Veil of Time, you can get past invisibility, maybe. Or at least stop it.
Yeah. that's certainly ways you could make the most of this. Now, Technomancy. Now, this is all about vehicles, so this is going to again be meta dependent. But let's see. Subvert Machine is your Primaris. It's a warp charge 1, like any good Primaris should be.
It's a big one though.
It's got a lot of rules. It's a Malediction that targets a single enemy vehicle, range 18. If this power successfully manifests, randomly select a weapon from that vehicle. Don't count bombs or one-use only weapons that have already fired, or weapons that are already destroyed. Then you roll off with your opponent. If your opponent scores higher, nothing happens. So that's actually an almost 50% chance of this failing. If the result's a draw, the weapon can only fire snapshots. Woo.
That's nice.
And if you roll higher, you can immediately shoot with that weapon at another enemy unit using the crew's ballistic skill, unless it's shaken or stunned, in which case it only fires snapfire. That could be fun.
It's like, I'm just going to shoot you with your own gun.
Imperial Knight, that's a nice Gatling cannon you've got there. Wouldn't it be a shame if that shot your friend in the back?
Yeah. Like, oops.
Or
that could be it could be funny, but it could cast and then not go off.
That's a nice Vindicator you've got there. Wouldn't it be a shame if it couldn't shoot for a turn?
Yeah. Like, oh, is that Vindicator behind your Imperial Knight? Bam!
Boom!
It's just like, oh, that was my bottom.
Blessing of the Machine. So, unsurprisingly, this is a blessing, and again it's Warp Charge 1, this time with a range of 24. While the power's in effect, the vehicle ignores Shaken and Stunned and gains power of the Machine Spirit. If it already has this special rule, it increases its ballistic skill to 1. So that actually is completely irrelevant if
It
you're
increases
running
by
INO.
1.
Increases by 1. Sorry, did I say increase it to 1?
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Increased by 1.
This can be cast in a transport, but only on the transport, which I think, as a rule, a few of these powers have. So you can cast on your transport if you're in it, which is nice. But I think if you really want to make your vehicles immune to Shaken and Stunned, there are other ways to do it. The Armoured Task Force does it. If you're near your Tech Marine, your Iron Hands do it as their formation bonus.
That's pretty nice. Next spell, Warp Charge 1.
Machine Curse.
It's a Focus Witchfire, 18-inch range, does D3, Strength 1, AP dash, hits with Haywire.
That's pretty cool. Take 3 Haywire hits, there you go.
Yeah, it's D3, so it could just wreck a vehicle instantly.
For a single Warp Charge, that's nice.
I mean, if you're running against the heavy mech meta, like, this is really good. Some of these are really anti-demi company. Which is what Raven Guard struggle with. So if Raven Guard are running Librarius Conclave, this will be really useful for just some of the anti-psychic spells, anti-machine spells.
Yeah, that could be cool. Reforge. So this is another Warp Charge 1, as I think most of these have been so far. Yeah, they've all been Warp Charge 1 so far on this one. And it's another 24-inch range blessing on a single friendly vehicle. So it's basically, yeah, you can either recover a hull point or repair a weapon destroyed or immobilised.
That's nice.
And it stays in effect for a turn and gives it will not die. So you're basically a Tech Marine with a range. And again,
If he's in a transport, he can cast it on the transport he's in.
so, and you don't just think about Space Marine vehicles with this. Any allied Imperial vehicle, because you're Battle Brothers. So your Imperial Knight, again, might quite like to be
restoring hull points to an Imperial Knight and then giving it will not die. So there's potential with this power to restore 2 hull points a turn.
So that could be quite cool for making a Knight more resilient. I think a Knight is the most obvious target for that.
Warp Metal Armor's in Warp Charge 2.
Okay.
It's a blessing that targets a single friendly unit with 24. If the power targets a vehicle unit, then whilst the power is in effect, add 1 to the armor value, front, side and rear, of all models in the unit. If the power targets a non-vehicle unit, add 1 to toughness target unit.
That's pretty
Again,
good.
the Psychic can cast it on a vehicle. Wow, that's really good. +1 toughness to your unit.
+1 armour to your Land Raider.
Yeah, armor 15 Land Raiders. Armor 14 Vindicators.
Yeah, that would push.
You see, that's a really good spell, and it's unlike the other ones. It's not just vehicles.
Yeah.
I'm finding a lot of these. I mean, you've got a malediction on vehicle, but then it's like blessing, blessing, blessing. It's just like, well, the last two we've talked about the
Machine curse.
not machine curse, the blessing of the machine and reforge only affects vehicles, and if you're running no vehicles or running minimal vehicles, it's not great.
Yeah, so I guess you would pick this if you had.
But yeah,
a lot of
getting
vehicles.
+1 toughness, brilliant.
And it's unit rather than single vehicle, so that unit of 3 Vindicators.
AV14.
AV14 to the front and AV12 on the side, which
Fury of Mars. It's an 18-inch range, strength 1, assault 1, haywire beam.
again, if you've got a lot of vehicles up against you, if you can get that 18-inch line up down the battle line of a Space Marine Demi company, or a what's it, full battle company with all the free transports.
Yeah, you can knock off a whole point.
Boom, boom.
So yeah, a haywire beam, it's alright. And then
Machine Flens, Warp Charge 2. It's a focused witchfire that targets a single vehicle unit. Excuse me, sorry.
target unit loses D3 hull points. For each hull point that a vehicle loses, the Psycho inflicts D6, strength 4, AP 6. It's rending special rule on a single enemy unit within 12.
Of the target, you can choose a different target for each hull. So you rip off chunks of a vehicle
And then throw it at a person.
and then throw it to the nearby unit. So you got D3 hull points. So that could wreck a, you know, if you get a good roll, you could wreck or severely cripple a vehicle.
And then, you know, if you roll that D3, you roll that 3, you do 3d6 rending hits on a nearby unit.
Or D6 rending hits on each unit.
So it's Technomancy, it's a nice list, it's got some versatile stuff to it. Not telepathy.
It's good though. It's
It's good. Situational, I mean, if you're playing an all-infantry KDK army or an all-infantry Tyranid army, what's the point?
well, you still you walk metal armor.
You're not going to take this list for one spell against a non-armoured army.
But the thing is, I believe I'm right in that you know, the point you choose which psychic powers to roll on, you know what you're playing against.
Yeah.
So if I say, meet up for a game with you and you're like, yeah, I'm running my orcs, I have no vehicles, it's a horde of infantry.
You're not going to run on Technomancy.
I'll just pick pyromancy and set you all on fire.
But then when I turn up against you and you go, oh yeah, I'm running a Battle Demi company, and I'm like, okay, I can take this Technomancy and have some anti-tank there.
So that gives the Librarian an extra option. So 2 down, 2 to go. Now these are the 2 that I've heard a bit about online being quite nasty. The first one of these is Fulmination, which is basically lightning is what all that's about. So Primaris is nice and simple. Electro Surge. This is another Witchfire, range 18, strength 5, AP 4, assault 6.
Assault 6, that's pretty nice.
And it's on a BS5 character as well, so that's going to be mostly hit.
Strength 5, AP 4 as well. It's really good.
You could certainly do some damage to light to medium infantry, anything with warrior.
It's like an assault cannon.
It's not,
2 more shots, 1 less strength.
Yeah, it's like 2 heavy bolters. It's like he's dual wielding heavy bolters.
Which is really good.
Yeah, no, that's nice. Electro Shield. It's a blessing that targets the Psyker and gives him a 3+ invuln. Not bad.
Could be worth it if he's jumping into combat or wanting to stab someone.
Yeah. Electro Pulse is a Warp Charge 1 Nova.
With haywire.
9-inch range, strength 1, assault 1, haywire.
It's nice. Drop that in the middle of a demi company. Bam.
Boom. All those rhinos take a whole point. Lightning Arc. It's a Witchfire.
Warp charge 2.
Warp Charge 2. Range 18, strength 5, AP 4. So that's the same as the Primaris. Assault 6.
D6.
Assault D6. Lethal Discharge. I think I had a case of that once at work.
Yes.
Yeah, so after this attack is resolved against the target, roll a dice for every other enemy unit within 6 of the target. On a 4+, the unit suffers D6, strength 5, AP 4 hits that are randomly allocated.
That's nice. So You shock one unit and then they pop. You have to cause a wound?
No,
you just have to hit
enemy. Yeah, no, just have to hit them. Yeah.
So if you've got like clustered tyrannies like I've been playing, you hit that Tervigan in the middle who's giving synapse to like 6 different units, and it's just like pop, 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 pop. It's really annoying.
Or bang in the middle of your KDK army.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. Fists of Lightning. This is a warp charge 1 blessing that hits the Psyker himself. While the power's in effect, he adds 1 to both his strength and attack. In addition, every time he hits an enemy unit, that unit suffers 2 additional strength 5 AP dash hits.
That's pretty nice. This is a very buffy list, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's a very, I'm going to attack you, and I'm going to buff myself so I can attack you better.
Which is what a Space Marine Librarian should be. It's probably not, that one is not as good as the equivalent 4 power from the Librarius, where he gets Might of Heroes, though. I would rather have Might of Heroes.
Yeah, nowhere near as good, but the extra 2 strength 5 hits could be funny. It's like Tesla.
Yeah, kind of like a bit of a Tesla effect, yeah. Next one, Magnetokinesis. Warp charge 2, and it's another blessing. Targets a single unit with 18. Unless the target is zooming or swooping or locked in combat, can immediately move up to 18 inches. The unit can move over all other models and terrain as if they were open ground, but it cannot end its move on top of another model or impassable terrain. If any models that start or end this move in difficult terrain must take a dangerous terrain test. The unit cannot charge in the same turns it was moved using this power, and all models in the unit count as having moved for the purpose of shooting in the shooting phase.
So basically you pick up a unit and put it 18 inches away.
That could be interesting.
That's certainly funny for some escape factor.
Yeah.
Or even like aiding with your Alpha Strike. You know, if you drop in 3 Librarians and one of them's got that, you can then pull your Devastator squad that's sitting in the back close by. You know, if your Devastator squad's sitting in the back with grav cannons, you can be like, I'm going to just yoink and put them over here.
This is a game all about movement, and this gives you an 18-inch out of phase movement.
It's just like, I'm slightly short of that objective, just... Okay.
Yeah, you know, you don't have to move the full 18. You know, my land speeder, it could have...
It is warp charge 2.
But I think 18 inches of movement is worth that.
Yeah, you have to be within an 18. But then if your land speeder jumps up 12 and then you jump at another 18, you don't have to turbo boost it, and then you can fire off your flamers, get that really close, get your melts really in range.
Salamanders could have fun with that.
Yeah.
Oh, that command squad with the 4 flamers that are already at +1 strength, re-rolling to wound. Yeah, they were, you know, kind of in the middle of the field, not really doing a lot. Yeah, they're now right up in your face.
So it's the first one from this discipline that's a buff that's not like a strength buff or an attack.
Yeah, it doesn't buff the Psyker, it buffs another unit.
Yeah, it's the first like maneuverability thing.
And the last one, I think, is a maneuverability as well. Electro Displacement, Warp Charge 2. Again, it's a blessing, targets a single non-vehicle unit within 24. Remove all models from the target unit except one, then swap the position of the Psyker with that model. Then set up all other models from the Psyker's unit within 6 inches and unit coherency of the Psyker, and set up all remaining models from the swapped models unit within 6 inches and unit coherency of that model. If the unit was locked in combat, the displaced model is now locked in combat with the enemy model. Models cannot otherwise be placed within 1 inch of an enemy. Unless locked in combat, these units can charge in the same turn. Okay, so let's think about some combos here. My librarian.
So basically, you swap a Psyker and his unit with another unit within 24.
Yeah.
You just go, pick that one, and swap.
They can switch out of combat, and they can switch and then charge.
Yeah.
There's some combos with that.
There's some fun gameplay with that. It's like you've just locked up my Centurions because for some reason you're not playing White Scar Centurions with hit and run. and I'm just going to jump them out of combat with a unit that's preferably wanting to be in there with that unit.
My Centurions are stuck in combat. Oh, that's my Devastator Centurions stuck in combat. But my my Vanguard veterans or my Terminators are over here. Switch. Now my Vanguard veterans are up in your face, and my Centurions are staring down your tank.
And then you go, oh, my Centurions are completely out of place though there. Well, I'll just put them 18 inches elsewhere. Granted, you've got to cast 2 Warp Charge 2 to do it, but
hey,
just bounce around the board.
This looks like a really fun discipline to use. You've got a few okay buffs, but then these last 2...
Yeah, the last 2 just
switch.
Give you some real fun to play with on the board. And the other buffs and range attack that makes, they're all really
nice
mid-level
enough.
good shooting.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't complain that my Librarian's suddenly dual-wielding heavy bolters.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say there's anything bad with this list.
No, there's no power on there that I'd think...
Oh, for God's sake, we've got that again.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Fists of Lightning if my Cycle wasn't wanting to get in combat. But, you might want to tool him for combat if you've got, Electro Displacement anyway, because you're going to switch. You could potentially switch your Librarian into combat.
It's interesting to see.
Yeah, certainly have to see how that plays out on the table. But I like Fulmination. And I've got the last one now, which is good because we're already at 25 minutes. Geokinesis. So this is all about the earth and the ground.
Yeah, moving stuff basically.
So you've got Chasm as your Primaris. So this is a Warp Charge 2. And it doesn't say what sort of power it is. So I think that could be a misprint. It doesn't say it's a blessing.
Chasm is a psychic power that targets an enemy unit within 18 with a psyker that is not locked in combat. All models in the enemy unit take dangerous terrain. Tests with no armor saves allowed.
Invulnerable saves can be taken normally. This has no effect on swooping or zooming.
Yeah, it's probably a misprint that they didn't put the power type in there.
I would think it would be a malediction.
Yeah, it would definitely have to be a malediction.
The way it works. Now, the interesting thing here is it's a dangerous terrain with no armor save, which sounds pretty good, but it's only on a 1. So what you're really going to want to do with this is hit a big unit. But then the guys that fall down aren't going to be that. You put this at a 10-man tactical squad, they're going to lose 1 or 2.
Yeah, if you hit a unit of 30 Orc boys, brilliant.
You're going to kill 5 Orc boys on average. You can kill 5 Orc boys more efficiently than Warp Charge 2.
Yeah, it's a little bit meh.
It's okay, but it's not great. Also, if the unit has Skilled Rider, it automatically passes that dangerous terrain
any
test.
Tyranid has moved for cover. Or just anyone who has moved for cover.
Yeah.
So first spell, Earthblood.
Yeah.
Warp Charge 1. It's a blessing that targets a single friendly non-vehicle character within 18. Target immediately regains D3 lost wounds during. You
just recover D3 wounds and gain it will not die for a turn.
So you could regain up to 4 wounds in that turn. That you cast it.
Yeah.
Just gain it will not die.
Not that any Space Marine character has 5 wounds.
Well, you're thinking you're charging your Chapter Master with his Shield Eternal on a bike, and he's getting beat up, and he can take the hits.
And you've got that Iron Hands relic that gives you bonuses to. I don't know if you were on camera at the time we reviewed that, but the more wounds you've got left, the better your invuln is with this Iron Hands item.
Yeah, so
the Chains of the Gorgon. So that could be interesting. That's certainly not a bad power to heal up you guys.
Yeah. Scorched Earth.
Yep.
Warp Charge 1, Malediction. The target's a point on the battlefield within 24 of the Psyker. That's nice. You're not actually targeting any one.
You target a point, and then each unit within 6 inches of that point immediately suffers a Strength 5 AP4 hit with Ignore Cover, hits randomly allocated. While the power is in effect, all terrain, including open ground, within 6 inches of the point are treated as being dangerous.
So you set fire to a piece of ground. And people burn.
Yeah, but a single Strength 5 AP4 hit on units within 6 of a point, it's not great.
Is it? All units in a point automatically suffer a single
Because it's units, not models. If it was all models, that would be nice, but
No, it's naff.
it's a bit of a naff power, to be honest.
Landquake.
The Malediction targets a single enemy unit with M18, and it's another Warp Charge 1. While the power's in effect, target moves as though it were in difficult terrain, and they can't run, turbo boost, or move flat out.
It slows people down.
Yeah, but it's not that much of a slowing down.
No.
And can't run. I suppose certain units, it would bugger them a bit, like bikes.
Situational.
Situational. Phase form. This is the 4th power, and this is another Warp Charge 1. It's a blessing that targets a single unit within 24 inches. While the power's in effect, the unit has moved through cover, and all its weapons gain ignore cover. In addition, the unit does not need line of sight in order to attack an enemy unit, as long as it's in range.
Nice.
Nice!
Oh man, that's really annoying because the rest of this list has been a bit poo so far, and then they've got a really amazing spell in there.
Yeah.
No line of sight, no cover. You think that on your Centurions?
Yeah.
Admittedly, you can pay 20 points for the Hunter's Eye, which people do. But if you're not playing White Scars, that's really good. Really good. Let's see what the rest of the list is like.
Yeah.
Warpquake. Another Warp Charge 1. Warpquake is a Witchfire power that either a single building or a special piece of ruins within 24.
So you target a building or a ruin with this. That's new. I don't think there's ever been a power like that before.
Target.
So if it's a building, you roll a d6. On a 1 to 3, it suffers a glancing hit. On a 4 to 6, it suffers a penetrating hit.
Target is a ruin. Roll d6 for each unit that is even partially within the ruins. On a 4 plus, or 4 or more, suffer d6 strength 6 hits.
Useful.
It's a bit naff.
It's not
D6 strength hits because you're in a bit of cover.
d6 strength 6 hits for every unit partially within the ruin. I mean, if you've got...
And it doesn't say ignore covers, so I can still gain cover from the ruin.
Yeah, that's silly. It should ignore the cover, because if you've got bits of falling masonry, the fact that you're in a building doesn't save you. It makes you more vulnerable.
Yeah. It's the building that's killing you. It's not going to protect you at the same time, so it shouldn't ignore cover. But again, it's naff.
Yeah, no, not happy there. And Shifting Worldscape. Now, this is a Warp Charge 3, so we're expecting something special here. It's a psychic power that targets a single terrain feature within 24 inches of the Psyker and in line of sight. The terrain feature must be one that can be physically picked up and placed. So if the hill's moulded to the board, you can't pick up the hill. A different location on the battle. Move that terrain to an area of open ground anywhere on the battlefield within 24 of its starting position, so long as it's more than 1 inch away from other models and other terrain features after the relocation is complete. Any unit that have all models on this piece of terrain are moved with it. If a unit has only a portion of its models on the terrain feature, then the models that occupy the terrain piece are immediately moved off by their player in the same manner as a model disembarking from a vehicle, treating the edge of the terrain as an access point and ending their move wholly within 6 inches of the terrain and in coherency. Models moved in this way must take a dangerous terrain test.
So you could use that in 2 ways. I mean, if your opponent's bunkering down on an objective,
Get over here!
you can pull them away from it, or you can push your unit up the field with it.
There's certainly ways that could be very used. It's but I think if I was playing against an opponent whose Psyker had this power, because obviously you know what powers your opponent's got, I would just leave one dude from my unit just out the back of the terrain feature,
so
I can just disembark rather than him pulling them towards or pushing them away. You know, if you're coming to get me, you're having to advance through terrain. Say you're KDK, you've got a demon unit that's advancing through terrain at me, and just push that terrain feature back over there. You know, get another 24 inches away, and it gives me another 2 turns to shoot you. That's a very good power. It's a shame because
It's an interesting list. I don't think it's a good power. Could be could be some funny use.
I think
out
it
of
can be game changing if used properly in the right
at
situation.
the right moment. Yeah. The only good power from that list is that phase form.
Yeah, so
The rest of that list is crap.
I think if you've got Chief Librarian Tigurius and you can choose your powers, Geokinesis could be fun.
Yeah, for phase form.
For phase form, and I think for Shifting Worldscape, I would like to start moving the buildings
It's
around.
warp charge free.
A year in a conclave.
Yes, that. I guess it's also useful for clearing terrain. I mean, it opens up your gun lines.
That's true. In a unit trying to hide behind a wall, just put that wall over there.
Yep. So it's a way to effectively ignore cover, but not by ignoring cover.
By moving the cover.
Yeah, you're just getting them out of the cover.
And you combine that with phase form. Say you've got a short-range unit, like Centurions are relatively short range with their grav cannons.
24.
24. You know, the target might be out of range. Pull them closer, cast phase form. Suddenly, that unit that thought it was safe and in cover is now up close, and its cover doesn't count.
But then phase form ignores cover anyway.
Yeah, that's
And
what
you
I'm
are
saying,
relying on rolling phase form, which is one of 6, and shifting worlds, which is one of 6.
Yeah, like I say, you would
And-
need Tigurius
yeah.
really to pull it off. But, you know, Tigurius is an option. So that's the psychic power. It's certainly going to give Marines some interesting options. The final thing you've got in here is some missions. Now, I don't think we're going to have time to
No.
review them because
Let's not go over the
it's
missions.
silly o'clock in the morning, but I'd be interested to try some of these out for a fun game sometimes. And the final thing I've just noticed on the back page here is you've got some Tyranids fighting Ultramarines here. Now, if you look at those Tyranids, they have a new Hive Fleet Behemoth variant colour scheme on here. Now, I generally notice that GW put new colour schemes out when they're about to do a codex, and they might have possibly painted these for the new Tyranid codex that may
That's
come.
wishing.
Maybe well, it's not wish listing because I don't even play Tyranids.
I really need a Tyranid list. It's
You need a
something
Tyranid
bleeding
codex.
your ears about it. I can moan for days about how
We've
bad Tyranid
had at
is.
least 2 Skype conversations lasting over 2 hours that consisted of him bemoaning the points values in the current Tyranid
Every
codex.
monster in the Tyranid Codex needs to come down at least 40 points.
Possibly, but yeah.
Like
that's,
even a Hive Tyrant who's 165 to start with. I remember when Hive Tyrants were 90 points.
Aw.
Like seriously.
Yeah, but I remember when you could buy a Land Raider for a tenner. But that's because I'm old.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it could be nothing, but you know, we've got a new Hive Fleet Behemoth variant scheme here. Tyranids confirmed? Who knows?
No, probably not.
Let's hope so. But yeah, thanks a lot for watching. Let me know what you think of the new psychic powers. And if you've watched my other video, I didn't say, let me know what you think I can take from the Salamander's benefits to strengthen my Salamander army. But once again, thanks a lot for watching, and yeah, be on the lookout for more videos coming soon. Bye.